Good morning and welcome to our Facebook Live this morning. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of March 2021. My name is Jenny McCormack and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in the market town of Brackley in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. If you're joining me live, please do say hi, make a comment so that I know that you're here. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask those obviously as we go along. If you're watching on catch up, then you're absolutely welcome to make any comments and I'll catch up with those and post those later. So good morning to you, Jeanette. I hope you're keeping well this morning. So, this week we have been featuring this fun stamp set and punch, and the suite is called Ice Cream Corner. I'll show you briefly what we've made so far while people gather online. And I've just put those cards down. Oh, here they are. I couldn't see them when they're right in front of me. So on Monday we created these really simple stamped cards using just the stamp set, and these are on our note cards and envelopes. So we've got strawberry, vanilla and chocolate, and just stamped the cones and the toppings, added some sprinkles, and these are just on the note cards as you can see. And I did decorate the note card envelope as well to go with it. So we have this one here with the cornets, and then we have this one here with the lollipops. I added the sequins and things afterwards, but just a great fun, simple to make card. And again, decorated the envelope with the sprinkles. So that was Monday. Yesterday I cased the catalogue and recreated these two cards here. So we have this one here on the right hand side, morning lovely Lynn, with the cornets, and I've added some Wink of Stella. I don't know if you can see that today, just so depends on the light, but Wink of Stella on the top, and then I added some little dots on the right hand side, and I placed mine on a Blackberry Bliss card base, and I added the white layer on the inside. So that was my take on this one here. Let me move it up a bit, sure you can see it. And then the other one we did is this one, and that's a take on this one here, morning Carol. So I used the slightly different papers with the cornets. I did the angling of the papers. This is Purple Posy, which matches the colour on the Blackberry Bliss card, and again I popped that on Blackberry Bliss but added the dots on the inside like so, and I made this one a thank you card using the little gems to highlight that. So those were Mondays and Tuesdays. So today I promised a shaker card, and I'm basing it on this card here. Now you might find it quite difficult to see because the detail behind is quite light, but they've got 3 circles punched and with the acetate window sheet behind, and they've laid that onto a card with Bermuda Bay on the top. Now you can see in the backing here how they've created the layer for the circles, and I've got a slightly different method to show you today to do that if you have a die cutting machine, just to make it easier rather than bending these pieces round or cut them in a circle. So what I've done for my circles is that I've die cut from our foam sheet. So here's our foam sheet. It comes as a single sheet and it's double-sided, but it's got a protective layer on it. So what I did was I used 2 sizes of our layering circles and put those together to cut out this frame. So you've got, this is the outside circle and this is the inside one. Okay, so I've got 3 of those, just because it's easier then than sort of working round with the with your scissors to cut them out. So obviously out of the foam pieces you will also end up with 3 circles that came out of the middle, and these can be quite useful because you can cover these in gold leaf or glitter, and there's lots of other things you can do with that. You could put double-sided paper on there, so I shall keep those, or you could use them as dimensionals, of course. So I've got my 3 circles, and so the other components I will need for this card is I have a basic white card base. I can see that it's shining on there. It's really confusing, isn't it? I've got a layer of patterned paper that is 1 millimeter short of the card base so that it fits really nicely without any overlap. And then I've got the same Bermuda Bay piece that's going to go on the top. Now I might actually cut this down smaller so that I see more of the background. And what's going to happen is when I've cut this out, which I'm going to do with the punch, I'm going to put this piece of acetate behind, okay, to create the window. And all I want to make sure is that I can fit my 3 circles on here without getting too close to the edges. So these circles will be bigger than the holes I'm going to punch because they're going to contain the sprinkles. Now sadly I don't have these sprinkles. I wish I had now. So I'm probably going to put maybe some glitter or something in place. I'll see what sequins I have that I could use. So these can be very close together, and what I'm going to do is punch the holes and then put these layers behind. So I think what I might do, on the basis that this can be the back of my card, oops, is I'm just going to mark this up roughly. And 3. Now I know that the circles I punch will be smaller than those anyway, because I don't want to see the edges of this. So I know that I could, can't take much of that off really. Maybe a millimetre or 2, just to see more of the backing paper. So let me just do that. Now on the backing paper you could obviously use some of the patterned paper. You could stamp gonna take literally 3 millimeters off. You could stamp a design to fit in the windows if you wanted to. I just don't want to get too close to these edges. So I'm just using my millimeter section there. There we go. And then to make this even, I'm going to do the same top and bottom, like so. I will put the updated measurements of these now I've cut this down. So I hope Carol, Jeanette and Lynn and anybody else watching are good today. It's very dull here, but I don't think it is as cold as it was yesterday, she says, hopefully. Okay, So let me give you an idea of how this is going to go together. So I'm going to punch the holes in here, and I have a 1.5 inch circle punch, and I know that my circles I've cut out are bigger than that, so I know they're not going to show through. So let's just use my guideline here. Could have this a little bit closer actually. If you've got a die cutting machine, you can obviously use your circle die cut for this as well. Like so. Okay, now I'm going to use the reverse side and I've forgotten that's got something on it, so let me just rub off those pencil marks. I picked up a piece of Bermuda Bay and I thought, it's got some marks on, that won't matter. I can put that on the back actually, it's only a little bit of... Let me just rub that off with my adhesive remover. Now there'd be nothing to stop you stamping this front sheet or putting it through an embossing folder to give a really nice effect. Okay, so this is going to be my front. Okay, it doesn't really matter which way that round that's going to end up. So on the back I'm going to stick my window sheet, so I need to cut that down to size. So if I just measure this, it is just under 9 centimeters. So I'll cut this down to 8.7 by 12.8. So this is my layer here. 8.7 by 12.8. So the width is 8.7. It's really difficult with window sheets because I know that you can only see it when it catches the light. What did I say? 8.7 by 12.8. Morning, Utah. Thanks for joining us today. We're making a shaker card from the catalogue on page 48 of the mini catalogue. Let's do 12.8. And I'm going to cut 2 of these. A little bit left over there. So now I've got 2 excuse me, acetate sheets that are the same size. I've got my patterned paper that is going to go onto my white card, and then what I'm going to do is put one of these pieces on here. Okay, that's going to be the front cover. Then I'm going to add my circles of foam. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to add whatever I'm going to put inside, and then I'm going to pop this layer on top. Now I do like to use 2 layers of acetate to keep this piece complete, rather than trying to add it onto the card. I like to do that, and then I know that the shaker card element works entirely on its own, and it's only got to go onto the front piece. I hope that makes some sense. So let's pop this down. So the first thing I'm going to do is attach this to the back of my front piece. So this is the sample here. And so I'm just going to use some wet glue because I forgot to refill my seal yesterday. So this week, you two, I've been working on the ice cream designs. So you can, if you didn't catch any of the others, you can either rewind back to the beginning of this one, or you can check out the photos from earlier on this week. Yes, so I've just used 2 concentric circles out of the foam sheet. Works when you're doing circular pieces, of course. Otherwise you could just cut strips. So I'm just going to drop this down. Okay, so I've used the wet glue, and you don't want to add too much because you don't want the glue to seep into the windows, like so. Okay, so that's going to be my front. And then what I'm going to do is add my foam circles around each of those. So these are double-sided. You could just use strips of foam, now I'm attached to it, and work them around, but I really do like to do it this way round, like so. And then this one, hopefully, yep, just about left enough space. Morning, Katie. I hope you're well this morning. Hope you've got nice weather for walking your lovely dogs. And then this one here. Like so. Okay, so those are my 3 holding pens, if you like. So this is going to go on the back once I've added the glitter, whatever I'm going to put inside. And this is then going to sit on here and have the glitter coming through. Now I did wonder whether to stamp a sentiment in each of those, or whether just to leave those plain. Thing is, when you use glitter and sequins, you don't tend to see a lot of what's behind, but let's just see. We have got the sentiment, "You're so cool," and "You melt my heart," which might just fit in there, mightn't it? So I could have, and treat yourself, almost. Maybe I'll just do those 2. So what I should have done, would have been more useful, is to use this as a template onto my card and just mark a little circle. So what I'm going to do is do it on here, and then if all goes astray, I can always use the other side. So I'm thinking, "You're so cool, you're so cool." Oh yes, that's true. I could add sentiment on the front, thank you. "And you melt my heart" in there. So let's do that. Just so we've got something on the inside. I could cut out some little cones and things like that. But I'm just going to do it roughly by eye. So I'm just going to work out that if I do my "You're so cool" in that top section, that will work. Let me find my ink pad. Oh, Lynn says leaving them empty. What does anybody else think? What do you think? I'm going to wait for somebody else to say what they think. Let me get something to put on the inside. Sequins or glitter or something. Oh, I've got these ones. These would work. I know they've got a bit of green in there, but these from the Flowers for Every Season gems. So they're nice because they're not too thick. So I think I will use those. There won't be a lot in each, but I think I'll be alright. So anybody else? Sentiments in or no sentiment? No, add something. Oh, bless you. Okay. I'm going to stamp something in here. So You Melt My Heart is going to go in that section there. Just in there. Let's just put this back. Voila. And you're so cool. There we go. I've got all three. If you can't see them, it won't matter then, will it? So, hint, if you do this again, use your template to mark out where you want to put anything inside. Number two. Then the outside of the other two. I'm going to put it in. There we go. Okay, so we'll attach that to the card in a second. So here we go. So let's see how much of this we can get in. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm just going to add these. There we go. So I'm just going to push that down, flatten it. So because I'm using the dimensional strips as opposed to the taller strips, I don't want too much height, otherwise nothing will move around. So now I'm going to peel this off. 1, 2, being careful not to ping. Okay, and then I'm going to put this layer on top. To keep those tucked in. Oh. There we go. And then I'm pressing all the way around there to make a good seal. There we go. Okay, so this is why I put acetate on the back, so that this piece is complete. Rather than trying to put the circles on here and then putting this on top. It's a bit like Seaside, doesn't it? Okay, I'm just going to trim this little bit at the top here. Actually, I could cut that. No, just cut that straight. There we go. I obviously didn't cut that to the same size. There we go. So there we've got our pieces encapsulated inside of that layer. And oh yeah. Okay, so if you stand it down, you can see the sentiments. I've also got more in that top one. Okay, so let us pop this layer down. Just want to see how that's going to look on there. And obviously, if you didn't like it, you could turn that right the way around and hide the text. So let's put this onto the card. So this layer is just about literally a millimetre shorter than the card itself. Just so that it fills the card, but it doesn't go right over the edge. So. Actually, that looks really nice just in its own right, doesn't it? Okay, and then I've got my shaker elements here. There we go. Now you've got me thinking, do I need the sentiments? Okay, while I'm deliberating on that, if you look at the photograph here, they've cut out one of the ice creams from the sheets of paper, so I could put one on here. Let's have a look and see. So they've taken one from here that's got the two layers. I could do with one with green on, couldn't I? Or blue and green. Let's try that one. Cut that out. So I'm just going to fussy cut around here really quickly, just leaving a small white area around the side. And obviously I could stamp and punch out an ice cream. Let's have a look and see. There we go. So they had theirs the other way round. Okay, so your chance to vote. Shall I take the words out altogether? And they had a strip of this underneath. Yes. Fair enough. I think you are right. After all that, because you can't really see it, can you? When it's covered up. What am I like? So in their photo, they have "You're So Cool," like that. Let's have a look, see. So they've got "You're So Cool," a little strip, and "You're So Cool" in on So Saffron. Not convinced of this yet. Let's try "You're So Cool" on here. I can also just see the edge of this. I don't think you can see it, but I can. There we go. Can still see a little bit. Sorry, this is really annoying for you, isn't it? Because what I should have done was make that window sheet just very slightly narrower than I did. Got it. There we are. Sorry, I could see it. I know that you couldn't, but I could. Right, here we are again. So that's going to go on there to cover up our sentiments. And then we've got, could do this as a little flag. Like so. Just leaving that there. You're so cool. And my ice cream cone. What do you think? They've got it going almost right over this way around, like that. It just seems a shame to cover that up, doesn't it? Yeah, I prefer that. Okay, so let's stick this down onto there, and I'm going to use the wet glue because this really does stick acetate well. Just going to put a little bit in each of these corners, just making sure I'm not going anywhere where you will see it through our little windows. Okay, give that a minute to attach. And then let's attach this onto there. So the doing the shaker card bit was relatively easy. Putting it together, less so. Going to add this on with dimensionals and also add some Wink of Stella to make my ice cream all frosty. Two. So I might do that, but put two more little ice creams in those two gaps. That's what I think. And I've got a green and a blue one. Because to me there's too much plain blue going on there. There we go. Perfect. So the other thing I could do, as I mentioned, you could put this piece through an embossing folder. I could have also stamped sprinkles over this front piece. Just to add a little bit more texture. So I'm thinking one there and one at the top. There we are. Sorry, I'm very quiet today because I'm concentrating on fussy cutting. There we go. So I've got two more cones to go on. Add a little bit of Wink of Stella, like so. Going to pop those up on dimensionals. And I just want to put a little bit of foam pad under those corners. Just to support them. I should have done that when I was sticking it down. There we go. That's better. That's sitting better. So it's anywhere where it hadn't got some of the foam behind, I've added that in. So 1, 2, that picks out those matching colours, and then this bit on here. Okay, I'm going to pop that on first. There we go. And then trim this off. And then these two on top of that. And I think because this is already raised up, I'm actually going to put these, no, I'm going to add dimensionals to those. And I'm just going to snip off a bit of this here, and we'll be done. Thank you, Lynn. We got there in the end. Slightly convoluted way, but we did get there. Sometimes that's the way it goes, isn't it? Made it. And there we go. Phew. There we are. So a shaker card using our foam sheets, cutting out circles, and then using a punch for the circles on the papers, on the card itself. Added the designer paper behind, and then I've used the Flowers for Every Season gems, but as luck would have it, that sort of worked anyway. So there we go, and I will decorate the inside with some little bubbles, and also decorate the envelope. So we did get there. You can see that. The gems really shine. You've got green and clear and white, and a little bit of silver in there. So there we go. Thank you so much. So 45 minutes, so a bit longer than normal, but I hope you liked it. you can certainly see my progress and process. But hopefully that's given you some ideas. But obviously you could easily do this with just cutting out squares or any other shape if you want to. Thanks, Jeanette. And do pop back tomorrow. So tomorrow and Friday we'll be live at 5. And I've got some ideas for using the stamp set that has nothing to do with ice creams. So do join us if you would like to see some other suggestions and ideas. There we go. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you are able to spend it wisely and with loved ones and safely. You take care. Look forward to catching you tomorrow. Look after yourselves, look after each other, and keep crafting. Thank you so much indeed. Cheerio for now. Bye-bye.